Right. Hi, Ariana. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Arianna Lind, and I am majoring in digital design with an emphasis in web design at Grand Canyon University. And I have been an artist for as long as I can remember, so I'm really hoping I can turn that into a career.
All right. So here at Johnston and Johnston, we want to know the strengths and weaknesses of our applicants. So why don't you tell us yours?
Yeah, so I would say I'm very strong with icon design. I work very well with Adobe Illustrator too. I do have a tendency to overcomplicate my design process though. So my thumbnails and my wireframes are very detailed.
That's awesome. Also, here at Johnson and Johnson, we encourage our potential employees to go for some upward movement within the company. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ideally, I would like to be working as a UX UI designer or even specifically a UI designer.
All right. Okay. So, what can you offer us that someone else can't since we have a lot of applicants?
Yeah, no, of course. I would say I'm a very fast learner, so I can take to new software really quickly. And as a new designer, I feel like I'm still getting influenced by a lot of other designs. So I feel like it'd be very easy for me to kind of implement the company's brand standard into my own designs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you tell us about some accomplishments that you're proud of?
Yeah, so this was actually fairly recently. In a previous course, we were instructed to create icon designs for a weather application. And when we reviewed them in class, it was voted by not only my other classmates out of a class of 23 design students, but also my professor that I had the best designs out of the class.
All right, all right. Nobody's perfect, so why don't you tell us about a time you made a mistake and how you remedied that?
Yeah, so there was a time where I had read through a project description, but I missed the size requirement. So going in, I'd made it just a little bit too small. And I was about maybe a little more than halfway through when I realized it. So instead of scrapping it, I just kind of paused for a moment in order to resize it, fit it to that new frame. And then after that, I kind of just continued and made sure the project was still turned in by the deadline.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what motivates you, Ariana? What drives you to succeed?
I would say one of my biggest motivators is seeing the end of my projects, is kind of getting through, because the way that I like design, I do it section by section. So finishing sections of the project is kind of what motivates me to continue. So, for example, going through the wireframes to the point of the design, just kind of seeing the final product and knowing that I will eventually get to that point as I keep working.
Wonderful. So here at Johnson and Johnson, who works very closely with the Arizona Diamondbacks, by the way, we have a very fast-paced work environment. So how do you handle pressure?
Yeah, so I have my previous jobs have been in food service. So as you can imagine, that is a pretty fast-paced environment. So when things get a little too stressful or I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure, sometimes I'll just take a couple seconds just to take a breather, calm myself down. And then I feel like if I'm focused on the task, it's a lot easier for me to calm down, just kind of having a one-track mind when it comes to that.
Wonderful. So here at Johnson and Johnson, we love our employees to know a lot of different graphic design softwares. So which design software did you know the best, and which ones could you improve on to help the company?
Yeah, so I would say Adobe Illustrator is definitely my top software. I could probably improve with Photoshop. I just don't use that application as much as some of the other Adobe products.
Right, right. So here at Johnson& and Johnson, we work with the Arizona Diamondbacks along with a bunch of different other clients, which all have different opinions on how design should be run. How would you handle criticism from them?
Actually, I really enjoy getting criticism for my professional work. I feel like criticism is a way for me to improve on my design process and the way that I do things. So I personally really like getting criticism because it allows me to improve as a designer.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we do have some tight turnaround times because we work with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So how long would it take you to plan, design, and deliver a 300 by 250 digital banner ad?
I would say maximum, it would probably take me around 3 days. I would dedicate one day to doing the research and getting the general thumbnails and kind of the rough sketch of the design. And then I would say 2 days for anything that I have to do for assets, photo editing, choosing fonts and that sort of thing. So probably 3 days maximum for something like that.
Now the world is evolving, the world of digital design and all that. Here at Johnson and Johnson, we're looking into general artificial intelligence. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I definitely feel there are ways to use AI effectively, and there are ways that it can be used with designers. I personally, as someone who is in web design, I like to use it as filler text. If I don't have the content for my wireframes, I like to use AI to kind of just generate that content for me. And I've also used it for photo expansion to also help with designs. For example, if a photo doesn't quite fit the dimensions that I have in the design that I've already created, I might use AI to generate the expanded version of that photo.
All right. You're told to create a design, but you're not given any instructions by the client. So what would steps would you take to get that done?
Yeah, in that case, I think the most important thing is knowing what the design is for. So ideally, I would try to ask the client and see what they want the design for. But beyond that, I would try to rely on things that are already established in the client's company. So that's business cards, brand guides, logos, websites, things that they already have established in order to kind of use that as a way to design whatever it is that I am creating for them.
All right. Well, thank you, Ariana. What questions do you have for us here at Johnson and Johnson?
Yeah, I actually have a few questions. What is the working environment like here?
Very fast paced. We work with the Arizona Diamondbacks and like Oprah Winfrey and Barack Obama. Those people, yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely sounds fast paced. And then what was the experience of the person who previously had this position?
Yeah, they had a lot of work to do because as UX UI designer, it's basically keeping our website up to date, making fun little icons for the people to click on. Um, yeah, it was pretty much super fast paced and pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And then I just want to know from you, what's the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of my job is to pretty much keep everybody on task. We like to have fun here at Johnston and Johnston, but like we don't want to have too much fun. We want a quality product to give to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
No, that's completely understandable. Well, thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to interview
No
me.
problem, Ariana, and we will be in touch. Have a nice day.
You as well. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.